Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Am I the A-hole? This was from user UnluckyStop6213. Am I the a-hole for grounding my daughter for being inappropriate to her stepbrother? To start off, my wife and I split up when my daughter was about 4 years old. It was an amicable decision, and my ex and I are still friends. We have dinners together with our daughter at least once every couple of months since the divorce. My daughter loves these times, and we get to talk about boring co-parenting stuff when we finish dinner and our daughter is out of earshot. I met my current wife when my daughter was 10, and she had a 13-year-old son. They got along, but she always seemed to want to hang out with him more than he wanted to be with her. I didn't think anything of it, just figured she thought he was cool and looked up to him. She used to beg for the two of them to have sleepovers in the living room and things. My stepson has never complained to me about this. My daughter is now 12 and my stepson is 15, and we live a pretty boring life together. But last week I heard my daughter scream, crying from her brother's room. I went to investigate and he was standing there, fists clenched and red in the face. My daughter was laying on the ground, sobbing and hyperventilating. Immediately, I separated the two, and I started by talking to my daughter. She told me that her stepbrother said he hated her and doesn't ever want her to talk to him again, and then pushed her to where I found her. I went to my stepson after talking to my daughter and confronted him. He admitted to the words but not the shoving, and he told me something that really freaked me out. He had just taken a shower and had come out from the bathroom to his room, but apparently he didn't hear the door latch closed. When he had finished getting dressed and turned to leave, he saw that the door was cracked and my daughter was on the other side. That's when he flipped out on her and told her to leave him alone and not to ever talk to him. I honestly didn't know what to think. I went back to my daughter, and after a bit of prodding, she confessed and said she was curious and seemed really embarrassed. I got really upset and told her what an invasion of privacy that was, and how would she like it if she found someone looking at her change the way he found her. I told her I was going to take away her laptop and her phone. She freaked out. She called my ex before I knew it, and when she handed me the phone, my ex was on speaker, scolding me for something so trivial, that every preteen teenager gets curious sometimes. I told her it didn't matter. Her curiosity shouldn't impede my stepson's safety in my house, and vice versa if it had happened the other way around. My daughter started screaming that she wanted to live with her mom, and the next day my ex came to pick her up. My daughter is refusing to answer my calls or come for visitation, which used to be 50-50 split. My ex-wife says she's appalled by my clear favoritism towards my stepson, and I just want my daughter back. Am I the a-hole? Should I apologize? The judgment is not the a-hole. Now let's take a look at the top comments. Final Commission 4160 says, not the a-hole. Your daughter was being inappropriate. You should point out to your ex that she would be pissed if your stepson did it to your daughter. If it's inappropriate for one, it's inappropriate for the other. OP responds, when I said that during our initial conversation, she said something like, that's different, he's older and therefore has more power over her. That's not word for word, it made me upset to hear. 40 Miles Away says, not the a-hole. This is not okay. Your daughter needs to know what a clear violation of privacy this was and how not okay this is. He needs to feel safe in his home, just like she needs to feel safe in her home. The fact she's throwing a temper tantrum about this instead of apologizing profusely and promising it will never happen again, quite frankly, is worrisome. I'd explain to your ex that if the roles were reversed, she'd be livid right now if your stepson did this to your daughter. And the BS about favorites is the biggest load of crap I've ever heard. And if she doesn't understand that, then maybe you should get a mediator and explain it to them. Tell your daughter that it's her right not to see you, but when you do, you expect an apology to both your stepson and yourself. I'd also let your ex know you're expecting an apology from her as well. Your ex acting like she's some petty stuff, that needs to stop like yesterday. Nut Michelle says, not the a-hole. All hell would have broken loose if you'd allowed your stepson go peek at your daughter while she changed clothes and not punished him for it. Your ex is an a-hole and you need to go to court and have the custody agreement upheld if she continues on with her nonsense. I agree. OP, you are not the a-hole. You did the right thing. You held your daughter accountable for what she did and you tried to get her to understand how inappropriate it was. And I agree with everyone who said that if the roles were reversed, they would have been held to pay for your stepson and for you as well, because it would have been your house where that happened. And like that last commenter said, your wife is behaving like an a-hole. She doesn't see it when her daughter does it, but if the stepson would have done it, then she would have probably taken you to court, OP, to file for 100% of custody and take your daughter away from you. At least that's what I assume. But of course, you guys know that this is just my opinion. So now, let's take a look at the update to see what happened after this. A lot has happened since my last post. I have been DM'd asking for an update. It's been a long time since my last post, and a lot of the advice and support given was so heartwarming. Now, onto the update. My ex-wife for a long time was on my daughter's side. Eventually, her and I had a long discussion, and it was clear after that my daughter had twisted the story to seem more accidental. We both agreed that staying with my ex was the best for her until she agrees to seek therapy. 2 weeks ago, she finally relented and started her first session on Thursday. My wife and stepson all discussed the idea of her coming back for visitation once she's had the help she needs. We even installed a padlock on my stepson's door, his request, to make him feel more safe. We plan on going back to our monthly dinners with my ex and daughter slowly, but hoping that therapy will help her. My stepson refused therapy and said he just doesn't trust her like he used to. I want to thank everyone for their advice and kind words, and I'd like to thank the mod team for dealing with my BS regarding this whole post. In a few weeks, if my daughter is comfortable, I may join her sessions to get a better perspective on what she's thinking. I'm truly hopeful that things will get better over time, but this has been a huge improvement, considering she absolutely refused every time it was brought up and tried to say her stepbrother was the problem. OP's edit. A lot of people have asked why my ex and I believe therapy was necessary over what happened. So I will just copy and paste a comment I made to one of the users asking the aforementioned question. The therapy is to get to the root of the issue of why she not only lied, but tried to claim her stepbrother pushed her and refused to admit she did anything wrong despite multiple conversations. She kept sticking to the lie that her brother pushed her for no reason. I want her to have a therapist to help her understand her thought process because it's pretty scary if I'm being honest. Not only that, but the fact my stepson says he doesn't trust her leads me to believe there may be more to the story that therapy could help illuminate. Not to punish her for having curiosity, but her curiosity should never impede on another person's privacy. Well, OP, it's great to see that you guys have been taking steps to solve this whole thing. Also, we now understand why your ex was so pushy with the whole curiosity thing. Your daughter was lying. It's a good thing your ex came around and actually is seeing the whole picture now. Hopefully, your daughter will benefit from therapy and you guys can go back to having a relationship like you had before this whole incident. What do you guys think about this whole situation? Let me know in the comment section. In the meantime, and since there's still some time left, let's squeeze in another post. This one's from user Administration IC616. Am I the a-hole for asking my ex-wife to transplant the tree she planted on our property? My soon-to-be ex-wife, 32 female, and I, 39 male, were married for 10 years before we got separated. We have 2 homes, a main house close to New York City and a lake house upstate. We agreed she would continue living in our main home and I would move to the lake house. 7 years ago, my wife's grandmother passed. She planted a tree at our lake house in her honor. Since this was a vacation home that I'm now turning into a permanent residence, I'm going to be doing renovations, and there's no way around the tree needing to be removed. I am willing to pay for all expenses to transplant the tree and the aftercare to ensure that the tree survives the process. I am willing to wait until the right time to do this. However, I heard late fall is the best time, so we need to start planning it now. My ex-wife does not want to transplant the tree at all. She wants to be able to come over and keep visiting. It's a nice spot, there's a bench next to it and it's next to the lake, and she would spend a lot of time out there. My girlfriend does not feel comfortable with my ex-wife coming to my house whenever she wants. My ex-wife says everyone she talked to about transplanting the tree says there is a risk of the tree not surviving, and she's not willing to take that chance, even though I'm willing to do whatever is needed to make sure the risk is as small as possible. However, I really don't know much about transplanting trees. I've never had to do this before. Am I the a-hole for asking her to transplant the tree? The judgment is not the a-hole. Now let's take a look at the top comments. The last Basilope says, not the a-hole. Tell her straight up that the tree is in the way and will be getting moved regardless. Her only two choices are, 1, you have the tree professionally moved to a property she owns, or 2, they raise the tree when the renovations happen. Tell her she has until X date to tell you if she wants it moved. If she doesn't make arrangements to do so by that date, then the renovations will proceed however they need to. Your little birdie says, information request. Will the tree need to be moved no matter what? It sounds like it's standing in the way of your renovations. Is that right? If it has to be transplanted no matter what, it might as well go to her property, I assume. You're being plenty generous already, and I don't think it's unreasonable not to want your ex-wife visiting and hanging around your property anytime she wants. OP responds, yes, it will need to be moved. I have a large family and they stay at my house often, so I'm going to need to put an extension to the guest house. Squeaky Little Cat says, not the a-hole, and if you're getting a divorce, I don't think that she should plan on hanging out around your home unless it's necessary. Visitation if you have kids or shared custody of the dogs or something. There's always a chance the tree will die, but it will 100% die if she doesn't take it. I mean, let's say you and your new girlfriend have kids in the future. Is your soon-to-be ex still going to be coming around and hanging out outside where your future kids are? I don't think her plan is realistic, even though she loves the spot. I agree, OP, you are not the a-hole, and you're being pretty nice about this whole thing. Other people, petty people, would just take the tree down without saying anything and then getting into an argument or something. You want to get the tree moved so your wife doesn't lose that tree, which you understand is important to her. I also do agree with the point that it'd be pretty weird to have your ex-wife visit your house whenever she wants just because she wants to take a look at a tree. I think your girlfriend is right about that one. That would make me feel uncomfortable too. But as I usually say, that's just my opinion. So now let's move on to the update to see how OP resolved this. I spoke to my ex-wife again and told her that this time of year was the best time to move a tree and give it the highest chance of surviving, and that construction was going to start anyway, and even if we didn't move the tree until the last possible moment, there was still a good chance it could get damaged from all the work being done around it. She confessed to me that one of the reasons she did not want the tree to get moved was because she wasn't sure if she was going to keep the house or sell it because of the memories. She was unwilling to come up with another plan. So I had the tree transplanted to her mother's house, which isn't far from hers. Her mother talked to a landscaper and I put a bench and some bushes around it. It's a nice spot. My ex-wife isn't happy, but the tree seems to be. Thank you to everyone for your advice. Well, OP, problem solved. The tree isn't at your house anymore, so your ex-wife can't just stop by whenever she wants. Also, I think it's great that the tree is doing well and is happy with his new environment. And that's it for this video. I truly hope you liked it. If you did, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you feel like chatting with others from this community, you can always join my Discord server and check out my subreddit. I'll leave links in the description. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.